All right, today we're diving into a tool that is so simple, you're going to wonder how you ever lived without it. But it's also so powerful, it can totally change how you solve problems. It's called the 5 Whys.
You totally know what I'm talking about, right? That one issue at work, that glitch that keeps popping up, you spend time fixing it, you think you've nailed it, and then a week later, boom, it's back. It feels like you're just running on a hamster wheel.
Well, that hamster wheel has a name. It's the symptom fixing trap, and we all fall into it. We're so focused on putting out the immediate fire that we never actually look for the source of the smoke. But what if I told you there's a really simple way to break that cycle for good?
Well, there is, and it's all about digging past the surface and uncovering the real root cause of the problem. Instead of just patching up cracks, we're going to find out why the foundation is shaky in the first place, and the tool we'll use is the 5 Whys.
It's a ridiculously simple idea. It actually came out of Toyota, and it's a huge part of modern practices like Lean and Six Sigma. The whole goal is to just keep asking why, until you can't ask it anymore. You peel back the layers of a problem, one question at a time, until you hit the core issue. This quote, "This is the heart of it, right here. Problems are rarely just one little thing that broke. They're usually a sign that the process or the system around that thing is broken. The 5 Whys forces you to look at the whole picture." Okay, so how do we actually do this? It's not just randomly asking questions. There's a simple 5-step process that anyone, and I mean anyone, can use. Let's walk through it. So first, you have to know exactly what problem you're trying to solve. Be super clear about it. Then you start the chain. Ask why, and write down the answer. The real trick here is knowing when to stop. You keep going until you move past technical glitches and land on a process problem. Then, and this is key, you check your work. You find data to prove you found the real root cause. And finally, you create a plan to fix it and actually follow up to make sure it worked. Theory is great and all, but this method really comes to life when you see it in action. So let's take a classic example, a simple problem on a factory floor, and see just how deep the rabbit hole goes. Okay, here's our problem. A machine stops working every Tuesday. It's specific, it's observable, it's the perfect starting point. So let's start asking questions. First question, nice and simple. Why did the machine stop? The fuse blew, okay? Seems like an easy fix, right? Just replace the fuse and we're done. But hang on, if we stop here, we're right back in that symptom fixing trap. We'd just be replacing fuses every Tuesday forever. We have to dig deeper. So let's ask again. Why did the fuse blow in the first place? Ah, now we're getting somewhere. The fuse was just doing its job. It blew to protect the motor because the motor was working way too hard. See how we've already moved from a simple electrical issue to a bigger mechanical one? But that's still not the root cause, is it? We've got to know why the motor was overloaded. Okay, the bearing seized. It basically got stuck and locked up, which made the motor strain against it and pop. There goes the fuse. We're getting warmer. Why on earth would a bearing just seize up? They don't usually do that on their own. There's got to be a reason. And there it is. We've just hit a procedural failure. The bearing didn't get the lubrication it needed, so it failed, causing that whole chain reaction. Now, this is where a lot of teams would stop. But there is one more crucial question to ask.
Because asking why a person or a team missed a step in a process, well, that's what separates a temporary patch from a permanent solution.
And boom, there it is, the root cause. The problem was never the fuse. It wasn't the motor or even the bearing. It was a failure in the process. Nobody was actually responsible for the task. The fix isn't a new part. It's a new system with clear ownership. See the difference?
Now, as amazing as this tool is, it isn't a silver bullet. You can't just throw it at every problem. You've got to understand what it's good at, and more importantly, where people usually go wrong. On the upside, it's super fast, it costs nothing, and it's fantastic for exposing those hidden gaps in your processes. But you have to be careful. For really complex problems, it can sometimes be too simple. And if you're not using actual facts, it's easy for personal bias to creep in. But the biggest danger? Stopping too early and fixing what you think is the root cause when it's really just another symptom.
So how do you get it right? Okay, rule number 1, and this is non-negotiable. This is never, ever about blaming people. It is always about fixing the process. Always. 2, bring people from different teams into the room. You'll get perspectives you never would have thought of. And 3, base your answers on data, not guesses. Go look at the machine, check the logs, get the facts. And that's really the magic of it. By asking that one simple question, why, over and over again, You can transform yourself from a problem patcher into a true problem solver. You stop putting out fires, and you start fireproofing the entire building.
So I'll leave you with this. What's that one recurring annoying symptom in your own work or even in your life that just keeps coming back? Maybe it's finally time to stop fixing the fuse and start asking why.